Welcome to this week's edition of the Pioneer Coaches Show. With me now, I have head cross-country coach Dan Meyers. Coach, thanks for being here today.
Jagger, thanks for having me.
All right, Coach, how was last week, with no meet? How'd the training go?
It was a long weekend for the group due to fall recess, but excellent week. We're on the track on Tuesday. A lot of them did their workouts in small groups or on their own on Friday, and just looking back on our Strava and looked like everything we accomplished last week. Like the biggest thing is I think we got a little healthier. We got a little bit more consistent last week, and Tuesday and Friday workouts went about as good as you could for a week off. So they're keeping the momentum going, which is really good to see.
And a lot of your athletes so far have been experiencing success. I mean, some of them as true freshmen. How do you make sure that they stay clear-minded and just don't become complacent?
I would say that some of the freshmen in our group are probably, in terms of like from a competitiveness level, just some of the hungriest people on this team. And, just like speaking of Pat, he loves the race. Jenna loves the race. Nick, they love to race. And every time they get an opportunity to race, they're going to go out there and give their best. And I think, especially on the men's side, that they still have some big goals that they're chasing that, we both know that might not be obtainable this year as a team. But, from where we were at this point last year, our team is averaging about, 2 minutes faster on, amongst 5-mile race. So, I think for the men that's what keeps them motivated. And I think for the women, we're just such in a unique spot in the conference that there's some people right on our heels, some other teams right on our heels, and there's some that are just out of our grasp. So I think that just that interconference, wanting to beat certain schools that, we've historically not beat. Some of them for decades. And I think that that's kind of in the back of their mind. So that's fueling them from week to week, which is makes my job a lot easier. And
how impressive has it been, for so many of your runners to either, get the PRs the way they are or just being able to get into the top 10 list? How impressive has that been?
It's hard to put into words, because I don't want them to, have one little moment or one race or, one little thing in training to derail just all the success we've had this year. Now, is our ultimate goal to, go show out at conference and regionals? Absolutely. But I would say this far that we're not satisfied, but we've got to look back at some of the stuff that we've already accomplished and just realize that this is just a great foundation of where we're going and where we're headed. And I think that it was good to see some names on that list that were from, like a Katie Hicks that, wasn't like a highly touted recruit, out of Tucker County. There is a lot of girls that Jenna's beating in our conference by a good bit that, beat her most of the time in high school. And, Natalie experienced some of that last year. And then I think Pat, Nick, Dylan, Jackson, Caden, I think all of them in terms of the freshmen are just really excited to see some people that they've matched up against in high school and just where their training's been. And, to get some names on that guys list, we had such historic teams in the late 80s and mid 90s. And for Pat and Nick to run what they did as freshmen was huge. But I think that girls team's getting a lot of notoriety, as they should. We have some girls in there that Hannah Rowan was a 400-meter state champ, and she's number 7 all time over 6K. And regardless of the lack of success or depth that we've had since we've been running 6Ks for the last 15 years, that's you still got to take the line, you still got to go run the race, and that's what they've been doing week in, week out, and they have people within the conference that they've been shooting for all year, and we're starting to close that gap. And I think men and women, I think we're still a sleeping giant. And lastly, you're once again going to race in Pittsburgh this year for the Carnegie Mellon Invite. Once Saturday hits, it'll be 2 weeks since you've raced. What do you expect out of your team? I just expect that, it'll be a course that will, Lock Haven was pancake flat. We'll be integrating some hills on this course. And as I say every year, they're very timed hills in terms of it's going to test your fitness at great times in the race. And I think it's a great test for us because we're going to see Point Park, and on the men and women's side, we have a little shot at them, but they're a very good team. Fairmont raced really well this past weekend at the Paul Short, and we'll be seeing them on both sides. So just being able to identify those runners in the race and just go get it down a big effort. I know there's some women that race in the 5K distance again would love to have some more all-time marks. So I think that's going to be huge. But I think it's just I want to leave that meet knowing that we take away some positives and that it's trending in the right direction headed towards conference in 2 weeks.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you coming on today, and good luck this week.
Jagger, thanks for having me.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Pioneer Coaches Show. With me now, head volleyball coach Kiara Perkins. Coach, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Coach, you went 1-1 last week. You started out the week with a 3-2 win at D&E. It's a game you won the first set, lost the next two, came back, and then won the last two. What'd you like out of your girls being able to come down from 2 sets to 1 and get the win?
One thing that we've talked about this season is just being able to overcome adversity. And, I mean, that's one game that really showed that. I mean, you see it in spurts when we go in those long rallies, but to actually do it where, it's going to show with our actual game score and stuff and actually come out with a win, I think that was definitely huge, especially with the start of our season. So definitely was much needed.
And then Friday night, you hosted West Virginia Wesleyan, who's been pretty good this year. You fell down 2-0. You won the third set, ended up losing 3-1. Just your thoughts on that game?
We kind of came off with a rough start. I know we switched some stuff up, but coming back and working towards getting that one set won. Definitely made a lot of errors and stuff, and kind of waited for other teams to make errors before we could establish and get out of it on our own. So that's going to be our main focus, is really taking care of the stuff on our side and making sure that everything that we do is unquestionable.
And before we hit this coming week, Sadie Hill, I mean, she averaged 33 assists per game last week. What have you seen out of her that you like so far?
She's definitely a go-getter. And if I tell her to do something, she's going to do it. So I love it. I love the energy that she brings. I love that she's competitive, and I think it really helps to push everybody as a team as a whole. So definitely, she's just one of those pieces that adds to our team, as well as some of the other girls on the court as well.
And then coming into this week, you're going to face, 2 really good teams in the Mountain East Conference. One of them, West Virginia State on Tuesday, then Charleston on Friday. State, they beat one of the premier teams in the league, Wheeling, last week. What have you seen out of them so far?
State, they're definitely a good team. They were regular season champs last year. We knew that this conference, it was going to be tough with every team that we play against. So, just trying to focus on being prepared for handling everything on our side, and really going out there and putting up a dogfight.
And then on Friday, you'll head to Charleston. They're 11-5 this year, 1-2 in the league so far. What have you seen out of the Golden Eagles?
I think kind of like with us, kind of going up and down and stuff. So it is, it's volleyball. You see it every single day. You see it even in the D1 level right now. So I really think that us just going in, focusing on what we're doing, really you just got to aim to bring your best every single game.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you coming on today, and good luck this week.
Thank you.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Pioneer Coaches Show. With me now, I have head women's soccer coach J.R. Dodson. Coach, thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me, Jagger.
All right, Coach, started out the week last week on the road at Frostburg. You mentioned it last week. It was going to be a dogfight, and it was that exactly. You were down 2-0 at half. Your girls come back, tie it up in the second half at 2-2. That's what the score ends up being. Just your thoughts on your girls being able to come back from behind in the second half and make it a tie.
It just talks about our resilience and the talent that we have. The girls we're starting to get our stride, I think. We just need to finish up a couple little details, little mental stuff, but I think they're doing good. Proud of them. That was a great comeback against a very good Frostburg team. They just beat Charleston last night 1-0. So that tells you the caliber we're playing. So we got a lot of good stuff ahead of us, I believe.
And then yesterday on Sunday, you're down 1-0 at half to Point Park. Freshman Calkins comes in, scores 2 goals in the second half to make it 2-1. But then Point Park, they score a goal with 5 minutes left to force a tie. Just your thoughts on that game?
Well, they didn't score 2 goals. They scored on 2 set pieces. They never. I don't know if they had any more than 2-3 shots in the whole game.
Probably not. No.
Again, our girls did what they were supposed to do as far as offensively, defensively, playing in the field. We did well. I thought the game was called really close. I'd argued on that foul where they got the set piece, but it is what it is, and that's soccer. That's part of the game. So no complaints there. Right. Overall, the referees did a good job, but that's that mental piece that we're still struggling to find, is to be ready for those set pieces. And I think our corner kicks are getting better as far as defending them, but we still got a little bit to do that on that mental side to be ready for those set pieces. That game should have been won. I don't know what it was. You might have the stats there, but it was probably like 65 to 68% possession on our side.
Yeah, it was close to 70, I think, when I had the stats.
Yeah, so it's the girls are playing well. We just need to get the ball to bounce our way just a little bit.
And then I mentioned Calkins with the way she played yesterday. What has she, brought to this team halfway through the season so far?
Well, I think Calkins is a special player, and she's going to remain a special player. I think she's only going to get better. She's a freshman. Her speed is incredible, and I think as she grows into collegiate soccer, she's only going to get better and better quick.
And then coming in this week, you'll host West Liberty on Wednesday night, and then you'll travel to Fairmont State on Sunday. What do you expect out of your girls after a week of getting 2 ties?
Well, this is going to sound odd, Jagger, but that's a sign of a good team. Mm-hmm. When you're tying and not losing.
Yep.
You take that Frostburg game, 2-0, could have been easily pack in the tent and go home.
Yep.
But when you look at good teams, you'll always see a couple of them with ties. It's like Charleston last year. I think they had 3 or 4 ties. It's you like to have those wins, but we're the boat's heading in the right direction, so to speak.
And then this past week you're down 2-0 at half, 1-0 at half, but then you're able to score. In total, you scored 4 goals in the second half this past week. Kind of what can you get it going in the first half rather than just getting it going in the second half? Is it a sense of urgency? What is it, you think?
Well, we've talked about that as a team. We talked about it, but I think if you go back and watch that first half against Point Park, they're doing what they need to do. It could easily get caught in a trap of saying, we're not playing well in the first half, but they played well. I mean, it was 60-some% possession in the first half. We had 2 opportunities in front of goal that probably should have been scored. Smets usually don't miss those shots up front. So they're there. They're doing what they're supposed to do. We just need to capitalize at certain points.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you coming on today, and good luck this week.
All right. Thank you, Jagger.